Here are 25 lessons I've learned while making over my home in 2025. We have completed a number of room makeovers in our home and have learned a lot of valuable lessons along the way.
Been trying to keep it on track, but what can I say? If get what you get is the brand, I do it for a no name. I'm doing okay.
When I sat down to write this list, I was staring at a blank page for the longest time. The whole thing seemed like such a blur, but after sitting down and thinking it through, the lessons started to come, and I was actually really surprised by a lot of these lessons. I feel like they are really valuable, have really inspired me and encouraged me to go into the next year and face more room makeovers. I hope it will do the same for you. Lesson number 1, making over a room has made keeping it clean so much easier. Once you have made over a room, everything feels more fresh. You also rethink furniture placement and you rethink your storage solutions. When you're putting time and effort into these things, the finished product is really streamlined. It's actually such a pleasure to keep the room looking nice and clean. Not only do you have those storage solutions that actually fit all of the toys, all of the mess, and everything has a home, it also looks so pretty and you really enjoy being in the space and you're more motivated to keep it clean. Cleaning the room for me is much faster and it's more enjoyable. Lesson number 2, I've realized how valuable it is to live in the space before you make it over. I think that gives you a huge leg up because you know how the space functions. It stops you designing merely for aesthetics and to make it look nicer. You also know how the space is used and you are more practical in your approach to finding storage solutions, furniture placement, and things like that. When you've been living in this space, you have more of a focus on how you need that room to function as well as making it look nice. Lesson number 3, sometimes you have to sacrifice the perfect color of paint. I made that mistake on my son's room. I fell in love with a certain tone of blue. It was in a different brand of paint and I hadn't used it before, but I spent the money on the paint. At the time, I was really talking myself into not regretting it, but looking back, I'm overall not happy with the finish of the paint. It chipped off the walls. It wasn't as durable. I've learned a valuable lesson on staying within functionality of paint choices and not only emphasizing the color and the tone. Lesson number 4, not everything needs to be really expensive to create a high quality room makeover. A really nice room makeover is more about the story that you're telling and more about the curation of the items and how they play out in the room. You can splash out a lot of money in a room makeover and still not have that cohesion and that beauty that you were seeking. I think it's more thinking about the details and less about how much money you can spend. Lesson number 5, before we started our girls makeover, I was looking around the room and I kept saying to my husband, this room annoys me. I just keep feeling like it's very unfinished. My husband is in the carpentry and renovation space. He looked around the room and he shared with me there are no skirting, there's no windowsills. Those little features often create a more finished feel in the room and just give it that little bit of layering. Once we had implemented that in our girls' room, it leveled up the place so much. It creates so much more cohesion at the end. You feel like your room is a lot more finished. It covers up the edges of the carpet. It protects your windowsill. It makes your room look nicer for longer because there's that protection. Think about the small details and think about the foundation of your room. They really stack up and improve your room. Lesson number 6, plan your finances well before attempting a room makeover. We did this really well with our girls' bedroom, but with our son's bedroom, I think we went into that makeover with less of a focus on all of the elements that we wanted for the room. I ended up shopping a lot more than I thought I would, searching at different stores for these elements. Looking back on it, it really blew the budget for us. That doesn't make me feel great. I wasn't as proud out of that room because I felt like it was a little bit messy. I was purchasing things as I went. That's a huge lesson, and what I have been implementing more in my room makeovers is to really sit down, plan out every aspect of the room makeover, all the little pieces of decor, having a bit of a rough price there so that you know how much you have to save going into your room makeover. It feels so much better when you have a really strong idea on how much you're going to spend, sitting down and saving up that money. It just makes it all the more worth it. Lesson number 7, after doing a room makeover, the room often smells like fresh paint, new material, new linens. Sometimes it's not the nicest smell. Adding a candle or putting some essential oils in the diffuser, it really adds to a room makeover. The overall sensory experience of it, not only are you looking at a fresh room, feeling the new fresh textures, but you're also using your sense of smell, especially if you line up the smell, the candle, the essential oils with like the theme of the room. For my daughter's room, we have like a very vanilla-y floral smell in that room, and I really love it. It really adds to the coziness and the girlhood and the whimsy that's going on in that room. For our son's room, we chose more of a bush smell, a fresh smell that adds to the outdoorsy Highland theme that we had going on in there. Little things like that I would see on the reality shows and go like, that's interesting. But then actually doing the room makeovers for myself in person, I've really seen the value in investing in beautiful scents to help it feel completed and add to the story that you are conveying in that room. Lesson number 8 is to shop your own home. Not everything in your room makeover needs to be a new purchase or something fresh. Often a lot of things that are floating around your house will fit in your room makeover if you have put a lot of time into researching and curating. A lot of the time it is things that you love and that you value, and you actually notice that a lot of the things in your home are already things that you love and value. For instance, I really love dried florals, I really love antiques. Those things just naturally occur in my home, and it's interesting to see that a lot of the room makeovers that we have done, even though we are transforming the space, a lot of the same things stay true, and that is I like dried florals and I like earthy tones and I like antiques. So I can often shop my home and grab things from around the house, save money, create another chance for an item to shine, and also reuse what you have. Lesson number 9 is to create a mood board and a plan for your room and just work on it over the year. You don't always have to wait until you are absolutely ready to work on the room makeover to start planning it. I have been working on this master bedroom makeover for months. I've been refining it and changing it as I go. I feel like that really benefits you, especially in the finance department as well, because I had been working on this room makeover for the longest time. I had these bedside tables that I had seen online and fallen in love with, and I put it on my mood board even though I could not afford those bedside tables. However, I was able to keep that locked away in my memory. When the end of year sales came along, I was able to check out these websites and actually find there was a significant saving on those bedside tables because I had forward planned. I knew that they would become a valued member of my decor family. I knew that the investment was going to be a good one. It really took a lot of pain out of shopping the sales. It allowed me to save a lot of money, and it allowed me to feel really positive about the choices that I made. Lesson number 10 is not to force a makeover. I learned this one while we were doing our toilet makeover. I just got really sidetracked during that makeover and I just wasn't feeling the passion for it. And it wasn't until I realized that, hey, I actually don't love this design direction, and went into looking at new inspiration and redesigning the room, that I actually regained my passion. I'm glad that I let it be. I didn't force myself to keep working on the makeover when I really wasn't feeling it. It benefited us so much because I am so happy with how this makeover ended up, and it's one of our most complimented spaces in our home. Funny enough, everyone comes out and says, I really love your toilet, and that wouldn't have happened if I had really forced the makeover to happen when it shouldn't have. Lesson number 11 is that paint and color have the ability to turn trash into treasure. I learned this lesson while doing our laundry makeover. I was really annoyed by the taps on the wall of our laundry. I obviously couldn't justify changing out all the different taps, and I was also trying to challenge myself myself to do a $0 makeover. I so happened to have paint on hand that we had from the toilet makeover and painted the wall with that. And it was just a happy coincidence. I realized that the taps, the chrome colored taps, looked so much better once the wall was painted in this beautiful earthy greeny gray color. For some reason, that color really brought out the chrome and made it look really luxe, really expensive, really beautiful. So much so that my husband, when he walked in the room afterwards, said, "Did you change the tapware?" Because it just looked so different. It really sparked a lot of appreciation and creativity within me, going, oh wow, like the power of color. Lesson number 12 is that picking a monochromatic color scheme doesn't have to be boring. I had so much fun doing my daughter's room makeover. We chose a really soft pink theme. You may think that everything in the space needs to follow that soft pink direction, but I really discovered by playing with different materials and different tones of paint that you can actually have so much fun in a monochromatic space. The walls were a soft pink. I chose a material that was a cream with a red line design on it, and when you step back from that material, it actually, to the eye, it kind of, the red and the cream blend together and it gives off more of a pink hue. But when you step closer and you see the details of the material, you can see that there are two completely differing colors in there. We also went with a kind of like a burgundy dark red color for the chair, and because it was all in the same color family, it still just worked so well together in that it's really calming. It feels monochromatic, even though there are so many little pops of differing colors and textures and patterns in the room. It was a really fun lesson to learn. Lesson number 13, I learned that you don't have to plan absolutely every single piece of decor that is going to live in your room after your makeover. This is especially true for children's rooms. I found with my son, I had so many different decor pieces that I really loved, that really told a story and worked with a theme. But once he moved into the room, he changed out a lot of the decor items and replaced them with his own personal items. As a child, he really loves to create and to design, clean his space and create little vignettes. I think that was a really good lesson to learn because it allows me more freedom in designing a room, in that we don't need to fill it up completely. For a family especially, less is more. Presenting the room to your loved one and allowing them the space to infuse it with their own personality and their own personal belongings. Lesson number 14, I was shopping online for a quilt cover. I had a really specific color, pattern, theme. When I purchased the quilt cover and I opened the package, I was really shocked. I had bought a completely synthetic quilt cover. It really didn't feel nice. I was looking for the most aesthetic option and I really didn't think about the functionality, especially in the linen world. I do not like synthetic quilt covers, even if it is looking really beautiful in the space. It's also about, I guess, the enjoyment of using those items and that tactile experience. If you're going to invest money and spend time curating a room, it's really good to make sure that you make choices that will be long-term investments and that you will enjoy long-term and that will function long-term. Lesson number 15, don't let fear hold you back from learning new skills during your room makeover journey. DIYing allows you to better customize your creations. When you have a vision for something or you've seen something that you would like to replicate, they often come with a really high price tag if you are buying them custom made or sourcing them online. DIYing them saves you so much money. It also stretches your skill set. I learned how to sew back in 2020 and I'm still very much a beginner. I don't sew as much as I would like to, but doing these room makeovers, I was able to sew a slipcover for a chair. I was able to sew a linen cafe curtain. I was also able to sew a pillow slip.
Did you make this?
Yes.
Wow.
I wouldn't have had the motivation to attempt if I wasn't motivated by the thought of curating the room and having those specific elements in the room. I'm really proud of myself for giving myself the opportunity to work on a skill set that is still growing and make mistakes, take the time to learn. You enjoy the finish so much more when you've put your own blood, sweat and tears into it instead of purchasing something. Let yourself experiment in your home. You know, your home is the best places to do it because because you can change it if you don't like it, and you can throw it away if it really doesn't work. Yeah, it really allows you to grow in your skills and create some things that you're really proud of. Lesson number 16, I've really discovered that as a woman, my creativity ebbs and flows, and that is a completely normal process. Some weeks I'm feeling really creative and I'm more drawn to designing my room makeovers or decorating the room. Some weeks I'm feeling more organized focused and I'm able to make lists and I'm able to organize parts of my home and work out storage solutions. Some weeks I'm feeling like really strong and energetic and I'm more equipped to do hands-on DIYs and get things done around the house. And some weeks I'm really low on energy and I'm feeling more introspective. Those are the times where you sit around and you're resting a lot more and you're able to just look at your home, what's around you, and maybe think more about how you use your home, small things like that. You feel sometimes when your creativity leaves you that maybe I'm not a creative person, and I've really realized that no, it ebbs and flows and that's totally okay, and I have so much more joy and freedom now working within the ebb and flow and not forcing it to happen. And I am feeling those really creative weeks, just really taking it by the horns and enjoying it and doing as much as I would like to do and flourishing within that creativity. And then when I have those weeks where I'm more drawn back and more introspective, I'm allowing myself to be that way and refueling myself for my next creative expedition. Lesson number 17, I've had moments where I've been really trying to force a project to happen and my children have been upset. If I'm continuing to force a DIY to happen during that time, it's never fulfilling. I am a mother first, allowing myself to put these little DIYs and these projects into little pockets of time when I know that I can really dedicate. It doesn't mean that I am losing or missing out. It actually brings me so much more joy because I know that I have planned out a little bit of time where I can work on a certain project and I can really look forward to that. DIYs and creative hobbies and things can always wait, and they will always feel so much better when you're able to complete them without being rushed, without being stressed, without feeling guilty. Lesson number 18, a room makeover is never truly finished. I have learned this the hard way. I thought that, tackling a room makeover, you're able to think about every little detail, every little thing and finish everything. It's so funny how so many little things can fall between the cracks. I have a running list of to-dos for each of our rooms, little things like touching up a little bit of paint or moving a shelf a few inches downward, tightening a door handle. There's always things to do. Lesson number 19, I view trends as little tools to put in your toolkit. You can try them out, see if you like them. If you don't, you can discard them. If you do like it, you often have learnt new skills and new perspectives that you can try in other makeovers or build upon, create variations of it. They're often things that you haven't thought of on your own and help you break out from what is familiar to you. Then you can pop it into your toolkit to use later. Lesson number 20, small rooms are not easier than big rooms to make over. Doing small rooms like our little toilet makeover often means that you have to think a lot harder about the choices that you make in that room. You need to think very long on your color choice because you're going to be enveloped by that color and you have less room for error. You have to think very carefully about your decor choices because you don't have much room to play with decor as well because you only have a select few little spots that you can decorate, as opposed to a big room where you have multiple shelves and multiple dressers. And small rooms are actually a lot harder because you need to make sure that they are impactful, make sure that they all work perfectly, and make sure that you're making really good decisions. Lesson number 21, even though there are so many different moving parts in a room makeover, there are just certain items that draw the eye. Putting a lot more time and effort into those moments and training that ability for you to realize those moments in your room makeover is really powerful because it allows you to put a lot more time and effort and money if needed into those places. In the scheme of the makeover, they really make a huge impact. We learned this during our laundry makeover. We had this beautiful timber bench and it was a really big impactful part of our laundry makeover because it was really large and because it was sitting at eye level. You can't escape that element of the room. So we were able to take it out, re-sand it, re-oil it, and just doing that one thing brought the whole room makeover up so significantly because we focused on a piece that was really impactful and made sure that it was really functioning well, that it looked nice, and in so doing it brings the whole room up with it. Lesson number 22. A freshly made over room can sometimes feel really stale because it is fresh walls, everything is spick and span, really clean. It just feels a little bit it's like there has not been a human living in there, and it feels a little bit more precious. A way I've learned to break from that staleness is to incorporate items that have a lot more patina and age with them, personal items that are a little bit more unique, even like linens that have been through the wash a few times. That just brings a little bit more coziness, a little bit more personality. I don't necessarily love having a fresh, new, made over room and then feeling like you can't spend time in it. A part of doing room makeovers is not only making it look nice, but also allowing you to really enjoy the space as well. Lesson 23 is to catalog all of the things that you use in your room makeover. Initially, I thought that was a bit of a silly idea. I thought, I'll just remember them. I could rattle off the names of the paint color and the trims and things like that. But as we moved through our house and completed more and more room makeovers, the paint colors began to escape me and I began to forget the name of the profile of our skirt. It actually comes in so handy in the future if you ever need to buy more paint, or maybe you would like to replicate a certain design idea in another room. You have everything cataloged and written down, and it seriously saves so many headaches. Lesson number 24 is that you do not need to be a professional interior designer to design your home. And I can say that because I have been studying interior design, but I've also learned throughout the process that you really don't have to be a professional to be making over your own home. You are the person who knows your home the best. You know each family member who is living in the home and using the home. You know every single room and the role it needs to play functionally in your home. You have so many things that an outsider coming in won't see. You are very, very equipped to be able to make over your own room. All you need is curiosity, a little bit of courage, and some humility as well. As you make mistakes and you learn, it can be a really great process, and I know that you can absolutely do it. Lesson 25, making over a full room in one go is hugely inconvenient. I would not recommend if you have a large family. I have realized through this process that I actually do not like tackling a full room makeover in one go. It renders the whole room unusable, and when you have a large family, you needing to use every space in your home, especially things like bedrooms and bathrooms. I have learned that I want to tackle makeovers differently in my home moving forward into 2026. I want to be able to integrate them more into family life, into my life as a mum. I'd like to start making over our spaces little by little. I'm hoping to really focus on little areas of the room makeover, updating linens, updating little furniture pieces, doing DIYs. Every now and then I will conglomerate it all into a makeover video. It will be really fun to follow along as I do little projects here and there, and I think they also feel a little bit more achievable and not have so much pressure on delivering a huge room and a huge transformation all the time. So going into 2026, our videos and our YouTube channel is going to look a little bit different. We're going to be focusing more on refreshing smaller spaces in our home, thinking about the elements within a room design more closely. I'm looking forward to sharing all of the lessons along the way, and I hope you found this video encouraging. Can't wait to see you in the next one.